Guys, do you know what? I was just getting ready to get myself pictured in a photo studio for my expected PPR, and I just received an email, and I have received the golden email finally. Raza, we're going to Canada. Okay. Good job. Thank you, beta. I love you. Okay, done. So I will go to the photo studio, then I'll come back and I'll make a detailed video about the complete PPR struggles that I faced at the age of 33. Now I'm 34, by the way. Alright, so see you guys later on. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ali Iftikhar and I'm back from the photo studio, and here is the complete timeline that I had. And some of you already know me, and many of you do not know the personal facts about me. So in this video, I'll talk about the golden email that I just received. What are the feelings? Okay. Then my background. And after my background, I'll talk about the struggle that I faced while going through ECA, IELTS, and then for my PNP nomination, and then ITA. And then in the last stage, I'll talk about the stress that almost everybody goes through when they're waiting for their PPR, because my timelines have been quite rough and I have gone through rough patches. And I would like to quote a subscriber. Last year, a subscriber commented and he said that, Ali, you have been researching about every possible pathway for Canadian immigration, yet you are here in Pakistan and you are not able to go to Canada. Then what's the point in Canadian immigration? So I really hope that now my story will motivate you guys. It will inspire you to do something that is best for your personal growth. Okay, because obviously you're the one who's going to decide whether you're going to make the move, whether you're going to make the sacrifice or not. Okay, so let's start. First, let me share my timeline. Today, October 14th, I received my passport request, which is the golden email. Okay, and in this email, what happens is that you receive an email from IRCC in your email inbox. And in that email, they say that you have a new message. So open your portal or sign in to your portal. So then you go click on that link, you sign in, you answer the security question, etc. Then there will be a message, and it was titled as request letter. Okay. Then request letter, when you click on it, it's a PDF, you download it. And then I try to leave a screenshot here. So they basically talk about it, and many people get confused because it does not clearly say passport request. It does not clearly say that. Okay? There are a couple of items in that, but in the second part of that letter is always that, okay, you're going to submit your passport, and these are the documents that you need, and your application is almost complete. These are the words written there. So we will issue you a confirmation of PR if you within 30 days submit your passport. So I mean, this is the PPR letter. Okay, and I really hope, I wish that everybody who is watching this video soon get their PPR, because I mean, I can't share the feeling that I had when I received this PPR. So now we've talked about the PPR letter. Let's talk about the timeline. On July 27th, 2021, I received NOI from Ontario. Then I submitted my application, and they processed the application, and I received ITA, and I submitted my application and received my acknowledgement of receipt, AOR, on 13th of December. Okay, I gave medicals upfront. My biometric request was received in January, where I booked the appointment, and on February 4th, that was the first ghost update. My medicals and my biometrics, both of them were updated on February 4th, I believe. Okay, and after that, in March, probably 22nd of March, I received the second ghost update. Ghost update. Okay, what is it? Ghost update is basically you check your online portal, your PR application, and it says that your status has been updated. You click on it and you look into your profile and there is no change. Okay, so I never called IRCC, but then I have some friends who said that you should call IRCC. So finally, I made the call. They said that your visa office was Montreal, and now it is Central Intake, okay, CIO. I believe that was the ghost update that your visa office has changed to CIO. Okay. Then there was no communication after March, no communication at all from IRCC. I've been trying to call them, but the call does not get connected. So in July I was able to connect the call, and they said that okay, so nothing has started, only your eligibility has been met, okay, and your your background, your clearance, your security, nothing has started. So finally, I received a re-medical request on September 16th, and my re-medicals were updated on September 26th with a fourth, or rather a third ghost update that your background is now in process. Previously, the word was in progress. Now it says we are processing your background check. Then last night on 13th of October, I received another ghost update. Again, the status is updated, but when I click on it, nothing is there. So October 14th, I received the PPR around sometime after 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so this was the timeline. Now let's talk about my introduction a little bit, and then the struggles that I faced for Canadian immigration. So I'm basically a master's of business administration, and I had both. I had two majors. Okay, so one is marketing, and the other one is human resource management from Islamabad Bahria University. In spring 2008, I joined it, and in 2010, I graduated from it as an MBA. Previously, I had a 2 years BCom. Okay, so as soon as I completed my MBA, I didn't even wait for my result. I just went to London, UK, and I started my Chartered Management qualification. Now, CMI, Chartered Management Institute, is a very prestigious institute in terms that it is the only body authorized by the Royal Charter to facilitate managers around the globe. Okay, so it's the only body by the Royal Charter, and they have a reciprocate in Canada as well by the name of CIM, I believe. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. So they give you a chartered manager status. Okay, so I completed that qualification. It was basically a level 7 diploma in strategic management and leadership. After completing my diploma, I came back to Pakistan and I started looking for a job, and I joined a multinational company, Bata. Most of you already know what Bata is. It's the largest footwear company in South Asia. I mean, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. It's the largest footwear company. It's basically a footwear giant. The production capacity that they have, it's amazing. So I mean, I was fortunate enough to get a job in this company, and until today I'm still working in that company, and it's been a pleasure. I spent 10 years in that company and brought 3.5 billion turnover in terms of the money, in terms of sales. I brought that particularly through my efforts. So I mean, I must say that it has been quite a journey, and even today my portfolio is that I sell around 6,600 SKUs, and I look after one full province of Pakistan, KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and the North Punjab region of Rawalpindi, Abbottabad, Gilgit, etc. And we are running through the distribution network, and so I mean, it is such a nice job, and I loved every moment of it. Okay, so in 2020, a friend of mine, he came from he lives in Abu Dhabi, and he came to Pakistan just on a visit. Okay, so I went to meet him, and we were having a cup of tea in a small chai bala dhaba, and it's a small, restaurant in Jhelum. So I was sitting and sipping this cup of tea with my friend. So he tells me that, Ali, you are an MBA, you should apply for Canadian immigration. It was January 15th or 14th of 2020. Okay, and that's the first time I heard about Canadian immigration, and I said that, oh, really? Can I really do that? I mean, Canadian immigration, is it for anybody who does not have a connection? And let me tell you something, I did not follow immigration for any country. You see, when I left UK and I came back to Pakistan, I wanted to live in Pakistan, work my way through here, and build my life right here. Okay, and I never wanted to immigrate to any other country. And the myth that I had about Canada was that Canadian immigration is very easy. That's what I thought. And if you want to go to Canada, the only thing that you need to bear is that 5 years, for 5 years, you need to live in a province where there is no snow, there's nothing. This is the myth that I had. And after 5 years, you can move to cities like Toronto or Vancouver, right? So this was the myth. But I never really was interested in immigrating to another country. So when my friend, he's basically my, college buddy a long time ago. So I asked him that, tell me, did you get an invitation? Did you get successful in Canadian immigration? So he said that, yes, my visa is stamped and I'm moving after a few months. So I was like, wow, does it really happen? I mean, Canada, do they invite people who do not have any connections, no relatives, no nothing? He said, yes, I mean, they do invite. And I said that, okay, so how do I know that I have a chance? So he just opened the CRS calculator, right? And he said, I'm going to check your points right here. And I said that, is it that transparent? I mean, you just open a web page and you just check the score. So he was like, yes, it is that simple. So he opened the CRS calculator and he checked my criteria, right? So he put my score as 8777, and he took my MBA as master's, and my experience at that time, it was probably 7 or 8 years. So he calculated that, and he said that you can score 460 plus, which is a very good score. He got selected at 441, I believe. His CRS was 441, and the cutoff in the draw that he got selected was 439. So I was like, wow, I do really have a chance. So next few days, my friend, he actually told me that there is a Facebook group called Ask Kubair, right? Kubair Kamal, everybody's favorite. I joined that group. I posted, maybe I received some suggestions. I'm not really sure about that, but I just started researching the old posts, because in the Facebook group of Ask Kubair, it is usually suggested that you go through the old posts. So I went through the old posts, and then I started researching about ECA and IELTS. Okay, now I am a kind of a guy who could not sleep until I am through something. Okay, so I started learning about it, and then I got to know that, okay, you need to give IELTS and the ECA. So I booked IELTS the next day, probably on January 27th or 28th, I booked IELTS test without even preparing, without even thinking that I need ECA as well, I need these things. So I booked IELTS for probably, it was some time on February 14th or 13th, some date like that. So I just booked that. And the reason why I picked a date after 10, 12, 13 days was because my wife's birthday, my younger brother's birthday, my birthday, it's all in between that period. I mean, 7th February, 10th February, 12th February. So I wanted to go through all these festivities and then appear for the IELTS test. So February 13th or 14th, I booked the IELTS test. Then I realized, okay, now this is the struggle number one. I realized that I don't even have my degree with me. I mean, I went to the UK after completing my degree of MBA, and I never went back to my university to get that degree, although I was in Pakistan. So I realized that I don't have a degree, so I need that degree, right? So I went to my university on next Friday, because my work, it goes with the market. So our holiday is on Friday. So on Friday, I used to live in another city, so I just got into a bus because I didn't want to drive that long. I went to my university and applied for my degree, and the teacher over there, she still remembered my face. So I used to fool around a lot with my teachers. So she recognized my face and she said, okay, I just have to look in the old register. And she just looked, and after 5-6 minutes, she gave me the degree. And I was like really, really happy. And before getting that degree, I had already completed my application on the Higher Education Commission portal. Now this is a requirement only for Pakistan, because in India or in other countries, your university directly sends the educational documents to the ECA body. But in Pakistan, we have to go through HEC, Higher Education Commission. We don't go through our universities. So I had already completed my application, and right after getting that, that degree, I just went to the cafeteria and I uploaded that degree on my HEC portal, and I simply submitted the application. Okay. Now, next thing I realized that, oh, I have chosen the courier option. Okay, but I want to do it urgently. So I deleted the application, I created another application, and I chose the urgent option because I just wanted to move to Canada right then. Okay, so I chose that. I chose that option of urgent, but mistakenly, because I was in a city called Faisalabad and it is closer to Lahore. So I selected Islamabad again on urgent basis. But then I realized that I have to go very far away to Islamabad to get that HEC attestation. So why not create another application? So I created another application for Lahore. Okay, and then I went to Lahore, I went to that HEC building and I got the attestation, the sealed envelope. And right after getting out of that HEC office, I didn't even wait to find the best courier option. I went to the next, whichever was the closest courier office. It was probably TCS. I went there and I asked them that, okay, this is the document, this is the address, University of Toronto. So I want to send this document to them. And they sent my sealed envelope to University of Toronto. And I asked them that, do you have any discount? So they said, no, we have student discounts only. So I said, yes, I'm sending it to University of Toronto, right? So, I am eligible for that student discount. So they gave me a discount, and I believe I had to pay maybe 2,700 rupees. That's all. So, before completing my IELTS on February 4th or 5th, I'm done with my HEC application. I have sent my documents to University of Toronto. I have booked my IELTS test, and I'm all ready. Now the time starts. My friend said that he used to watch Jay from E to IELTS on YouTube. So I watched a dozen of Jay's videos. Okay. Then I wrote one essay, one letter. Maybe I did not write a letter, just practiced one essay. That's all. And I went to give that IELTS test on February 14th or 13th. I don't remember the exact date. So my result was, maybe I need to look for these things. Maybe I need to open up old documents, and I need to open up right here in front of you guys. But anyhow, I remember that my IELTS score was 8.5 in listening and 9 bands in reading, and 6.5 bands in writing, and 7.5 bands in speaking. Okay, this was my score. Now, I was not happy with it, so I applied for an inquiry on result, EOR. Okay, and I submitted EOR on my writing and my speaking score. After my EOR was successful, my score was 7 bands in writing and 8 bands in speaking. I believe that was the score. 8 bands in speaking. CLB 10 in 3 modules and CLB 9 in writing module. Okay. Now I was like, oh, that's not such a good score. I needed CLB 10 in all 4. And my age was 32. Now I'm just waiting for my ECA. And in those days, CES used to take 6 months. Now it takes 3-4 months. But in those days, it took 6 months. So I kept waiting. So in that waiting period, I attempted another IELTS. Okay. Because my wife, she didn't want to book IELTS in the first instance. She wanted to prepare, right? You know how women are. They are particular about their preparation. So she wanted to prepare, and when her test date arrived, I also decided to I'll give this test on the same day as well. Now I'm a full-time employee, right? So I don't get time to prepare for IELTS. So I went again without preparation. Now the second time again I got CLB 10 in 3 modules and CLB 9 in 1 module. So I was really pissed off. So I mean, talking about the IELTS, see, the struggle is really is real. It is real. My wife, she could not get CLB 9 in 8777. She could not get it. Her listening was probably less than 8. So now we decided to give another attempt at IELTS, and this time around I decided that we'll do it right before the ECA, because I wanted to create my express entry profile the day I received the ECA outcome. Okay, so we gave another attempt at IELTS. Now this time around my IELTS score was 8.5 in listening, reading 6.5, yeah, and writing 8 bands, reading 8.5 bands. Okay, so I overcame my writing because I learned the structure, and I got 8 bands in writing, but my reading was 6.5. Okay, now I don't even have EOR option in reading, right? Because reading does not get improved. But when I gave that reading exam, I was 100% sure. Like, you have 1 hour to complete your reading test, right? And I completed it in 45 minutes. I had 15 minutes to spare. And I decided that, okay, I should go and use the loo. But then I thought, no, yeah, it is the IELTS test, right? It's something very, very serious. It's something very serious. No washroom break. So I just stayed there for 15 minutes. I went through all the attempts that I made. I verified everything, and I made sure that every question had the accurate answer. You see, sometimes you are confused about, okay, this could be the option as well, this could be another option, but I was 100% certain that the answers that I gave are 100% accurate. And I was most confident about reading, that I'll get 9 bands, no questions asked. Okay, and when the result came, I got 6.5 bands. Okay, so this was the third time, and I applied for EOR, by the way, and you know that EOR is half the IELTS fee. So basically, I paid for 3 IELTS tests and 2 EORs. So in total, I paid for 4 IELTS tests. Okay. Then I decided, no, it is always going to remain like this: CLB 10 in 3 modules and CLB 9 in 1 module. So I decided that my wife's education is bachelor's, which did not get a bachelor's equivalency when the CES ECA came. So her points were less, right? And I had the spouse accompanied. So I enrolled her in a postgraduate diploma. Now, if your spouse enrolls in a PGD and you get a 2 or more, then in total, you get 1 additional point, 1 additional CRS. So I was so desperate to increase my CRS score because when I created my express entry profile with these scores, CLB 9 for my wife, 8777, CLB 10 in 3 modules for me, and CLB 9 in 4th module, the first result that I get, and the second result for my wife. So this is what I went with: my master's equivalency, my wife's associate degree equivalency, and then my score was in total 463. Okay, now 463, I got her enrolled in postgraduate diploma, and I thought that, okay, when my wife's PGD will be completed, then around that time, before the result comes out and we apply for another ECA, I thought that I'll give another try at IELTS at that time. No point in doing it right now, and I'll do it another time. Now, why, those of you who don't know, why am I putting so much effort in IELTS just to increase 1 module is because it gives you 3 additional points. You see, 8777 is for the people, it was for the people who are below 30, who are 29, 28, 27 years of age. I was 33 at that time, so I had to achieve the maximum score of IELTS. Okay, so only for those 3 CRS points, I spent a lot of money on IELTS, because in Pakistan, the IELTS is around 35,000 rupees, right? So I gave I paid for 4 IELTS tests, and I paid for 2.5 IELTS tests for my wife because I applied for her EOR as well. So in total, we had 6.5 IELTS test fee. So you can multiply it by 35,000. I mean, it just wasted this money. But I was certain that I would get CLB 10 in 4, although I never prepared for it. Whenever there was an IELTS test, I would never prepare for it. So this is a mistake that I did. I should have focused more on it. But I had started my YouTube channel. I had started my freelancing career. Those of you who do not know, I am a level 2 seller on Fiverr, and I provide various services: book editing, copywriting, and also YouTube channel management. So these are the 3 main services that I provide, and I have regular clients who've been working with me for 10 months. And I always work with repeat clients. So this is my freelancing journey, and that is a part of me that, nobody knows, right? So I also had my YouTube channel, and you know the amount of research I had to do to make these videos, because the first time I heard about express entry, the terminology express entry or PNP, I didn't even hear about PNP at that time, was January 2020. Never have I ever heard that term before January 2020. Okay. So my CRS score in express entry profile is 463. I'm waiting for my wife's PGD. And I'm hoping that I'll get another IELTS test, and my score, overall score, will improve by 4 points, and it will go to 467. But my birth date came before that, and I turned 33. Okay, and my score dropped from 463 to 458. Now, my knock code is 0601. Okay, my knock code has a very distinct story to it. I'll tell you about that as well sometime in future. So my knock code is 0601. It has always been in demand by Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, but maybe because of COVID or whatever reason, Ontario stopped their draws, just like they did this year. Ontario stopped their draws. In July, they held their last draw, and then they stopped their draws. My birthday was on February 12th. And on February 17th or 16th, just after, within a week, they selected 463 CRS. My CRS at that time was 458. So if they had conducted that draw 1 week earlier, I would have received the notification of interest. Okay. So my NOI missed me by 1 week. Okay. Now, after that, again, Ontario was not very promising. Their draws were all over the place. They did not come down to 458. And on July 27th, suddenly I receive an email. You are invited to apply to Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, and the province is interested in giving you a nomination. And I was like, this looks fake. It must be a scam. So who has my email address? Why did I get that? Oh, this is scam. I didn't believe it, because I went to OINP website. I checked their draws. There was no draw on that day. So I kept waiting. Then I went to social media pages of Ask Kubair, and then there is a Pakistani page called Express Entry Canada Pakistan chapter. So I went to that page. Many people were talking about it, that they have received their notification of interest as well. But after 6 hours, Ontario uploaded the details of that draw. My knock code was there. The lowest ranked candidate had a score of 457 or 58. 458, I believe. My score was the lowest ranked candidate. So at 463, I did not get an invitation from Ontario. But at 458, I got an invitation from Ontario, right? So, my wife's PGD, it did not matter anymore. My IELTS score, it did not matter anymore. So I went through with the first IELTS test that I had, with the first ECA body that I had. And for ECA, I have this, a Facebook friend, Umar Farooq, and he told me that Pakistani MBA gets master's equivalency, only choose CES, Comparative Education Service. Otherwise, I would have gone to West. I wouldn't have received master's equivalency because I didn't know it at that time. So as soon as I got master's equivalency for my MBA, that day I started preaching. I started telling everybody that if you have an MBA, you are going to get master's equivalency. That is a certainty. Okay, from that day onward. Okay, so this was my initial struggle. You see, my marriage certificate, it had a wrong spelling for my wife. Okay, so I mean, I never bothered to get it updated, get it corrected. But I went in those early February 2020 days when I was initially waiting for my IELTS booking, and when I was creating the HEC application, I went to my union council. I got the marriage certificate updated. My wife's bachelor's one mark sheet was missing, so I applied for a duplicate from her university, and we had all of these things sorted out at the speed of light. Okay, I was like, this is something I want to do, this is something I'm going to do. I did not waste a single minute. Either I was researching about it, or I was running around the town, running around different towns around the country to fulfill my documents and get myself prepared for Canadian immigration. And this is the real struggle that most of you would face. But there are some people. I know a guy who resigned from his job. Why? Because I need to prepare for IELTS. I mean, I need to prepare for IELTS, and I resigned from my job. I mean, some people are born with a silver spoon, but I was not. Okay, so this is the scenario. This is the struggle, initial struggle. Now, after I applied for Ontario, I had my bank statements in place in anticipation of my notification of interest, in anticipation of my ITA. I had my bank statements sorted out, and then I submitted all the documents, and then I started waiting. Now, there was a WhatsApp group for that OINP notification of interest, and a big shout out to you guys, everybody who would be watching this video. I mean, you guys have been a great sport, and the moral support that you guys provided, it was amazing. It was brilliant, and I loved it. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so everybody from India, from Pakistan, they are getting their nominations, PNP nominations, and I'm waiting. The timeline was 60 days at the time, and I kept on waiting. And after, I believe, 65 days, I received PNP nomination. So everybody has received it in 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, and I'm waiting. Okay, so this is it. Now, when I was submitting my ITA, after receiving ITA from Express Entry, I submitted my documents, and I want to give a shout out to Mr. Faz Ansari, who I would love to have on my channel as a guest. He's basically a very, he's an expert. Okay, he's a guru for Canadian immigration. So I had a Zoom call with him, and he went through all my documents, and he said that, okay, you're a learned guy. So the documents that you have prepared, they look fine to me. Just this, that you need to structure them in this way. And he gave me some suggestions that I have shared in my videos as well. For example, how to arrange my passports, how to arrange my marriage certificates, how to arrange my work documents. So he had a 1 hour call with me, and he gave me some very valuable tips. So Mr. Faz Ansari, big shout out to you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And yeah, so then I submitted my ITA. I submitted my application. It's called EAPR, Electronic Application of Permanent Residence. And I had a struggle because my credit card didn't have that much limit. So I had to ask the same guy who's now in Canada, who told me on a cup of tea that you can go to Canada. I asked him, he had a credit card which had a limit, so he paid on my behalf. Then I paid him from my side, right? So, I've made videos about all of these struggles. So then I received my AOR on 13th of December. Okay, now I was expecting that in 6 months I would get my PPR. Okay, but I received my PPR after 10 months and 1 day. Okay, so the time between 6th month and and the 10th month, this time was very painful. You see, I had told my top management that I need this experience letter, reference letter. Obviously, I needed to get it from the HR, so I had to go through proper channel. I told my top management that I have received an invitation. I'm submitting my application now. Everybody is looking at me that, okay, so when are you moving to Canada? So I said that, okay, I mean, presumably I will move in June 2022. In June 2022 came. Now the situation becomes awkward. It becomes uncomfortable. If you are in that situation, or if you are yet not in that situation, then know this, that you are going to be in that situation. It is going to be highly uncomfortable. But one message that I want to give out to everybody: do not stop your life in anticipation of your PPR. People do that. Do not do that. I give you my example. My freelancing career, it's still going on, booming. My YouTube, I'm more focused on my YouTube. I'm literally uploading once a day, twice a day, right? It's a big commitment. My kids, they are going to a school. They will continue to go to a school. In the evening, they have their classes for Krane Park. And I mean, everything is going at its pace. I didn't stop anything. Okay. I mean, yes, the mental state, I was in stress. My wife is in stress because of hanging in the air, hanging by a thread, not knowing what is going to happen. So I was in a lot of distress. But the reason I went through it is because I did not stop living the life that I had. I have continued the things the way they should be. My full-time job is still there. I still have not resigned, by the way. I might right now, or maybe if I plan to fly later, then I might resign later. I hope my boss is not watching this video. He watches some of my videos, by the way. Okay, so I mean, this is this emotional distress that everybody has to go through. And I've been a victim of it. But I mean, this is why I'm giving out this message to you guys, that do not put your life on hold. If you do, you're going to get in a worse position, in a worse shape. I mean, I had the stress, I had the tension, okay, all the whole shebang. But because my life was not on hold, that's why it kept me going and going and going. Okay. And then still 50-50 after the fourth ghost update, that maybe I'll get a PPR, maybe it will still take me 2 more months. I missed an opportunity. An employer hired me almost in Canada. But when I told them that, okay, I am not able to move right now, so they took a step back. So, I mean, I missed that golden opportunity already, but I'm sure Almighty is there, right? So He's going to give me another opportunity, I'm sure about it. So thing is, at the end of the day, at the end of this video, I'm just going to say this one thing to you. Do not waste your time when you are preparing yourself for Canadian immigration. After you've submitted your application, do not put your life on hold. These are the 2 sentences that I want to summarize all of the struggle, all of the problems that I shared with you. Do not put your life on hold. And before submitting your application, by the way, creating an Express Entry profile, it's not an application. Application is once you receive your ITA and you submit your application. Then do not put your life on hold. Before receiving an ITA, do everything you can in your power. I mean, people still ask, for Ontario, do we have to create a separate application? I mean, Ontario is the biggest PNP program. Everybody talks about it. And still, they don't know that do we need to create a separate expression of interest for Ontario or not. So these are the few tiny, puny things that somebody needs to research. I mean, if you're serious about it, right? Because I have done my research and it is shown in my videos, right? I have no background. Nobody in my paternal family has immigrated to Canada. My father-in-law has lived in Canada a long time ago. maybe 30 years ago. But I mean, there are no connections. So except for my that friend who I sipped a cup of tea with. So, and I call him Pappu. So thank you very much, Pappu, for making this all happen. Okay, so my parents have been supporting. This is something that you get to choose. But let me share. I mean, I would say it an opportunity, but it was basically a tragedy. You see, my mother, she had a heart attack 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago. And then we ran her tests, and it turns out that she has problem, and we need a bypass surgery. And her heart is working only at 30%. Okay, her heart is working only at 30%. So the bypass surgery at her age, it's very risky, it's life threatening. 3 doctors told us not to go through the surgery. Now I was thinking, if I received if I flew in June 2022, just like I had planned, just like I had wished, and if I landed in Canada, and there I received this news that my mother is going to go through a bypass surgery, an open heart surgery, and her heart is only working at 30%. She cannot bear the anesthesia. 3 doctors have said that it is going to be lethal if you go through it. They have asked us not to go through the operation and just bring her home and put her to rest. Okay, so imagine if I received this news while I was away in Canada, not able to go back to my country. Maybe I would have left everything and came back to my hometown, my home country, right? Maybe I would have done that. So everything that happens, it happens for a reason. I was here, I was able to take care of my mother, go through the operation, go through the recovery period, be with her in the hospital. 21 days we spent in hospital. It was an opportunity that I received. You see, I cannot be more thankful to the Almighty. If if my plan worked, I would have been in a distress I cannot imagine, you guys cannot imagine. But God's plan, it always works in the best way possible. So never lose your faith. If things are not working out for you, this is not the right time for you. Okay? And when I fly to Canada, obviously I'm going to record all of that, and I'm going to share it with you guys. And I have no plans of stopping my videos when I reach in Canada. Inshallah, hopefully. So I need your prayers. I still need your prayers. And I think that I have given you enough motivation to just stay in the race. Do not, people, they need a reason to give up. Do not look for a reason to give up, please. Okay. So I'm sorry for making this video a very long video, and I'm sure that you must have gotten bored in a few points, but this is my heart out to you. And with these words, this is Ali Iftikhar, and I'm hoping great things are coming your way.